Hello, my name is Pavel and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the second part of everything that I watched in 2022. Before you watch this video, let me quickly explain to you the little rule that I created for this video. Since I've watched 156 things in 2022, that's a lot of things to properly review. So a guideline for this wrap up is that I'm going to try review everything in one sentence, and spoiler, I do not stick to it. And yeah, that's basically it. Go watch part 1 if you haven't seen it yet and enjoy the video. Goodbye. Okay, hello. My camera just decided to randomly die there, but we're back on track. So the next movie that I watched is called Crazy Love, which loosely follows Bukowski's, the author's, life in kind of like 3 different stories, and I found it very, very interesting, and I found it extremely depressing, but I'm really fascinated with Bukowski, so I think it gave me like a really cool perspective into his life. Next, I watched another Alexander Payne movie called Sideways. I didn't find it as good as Election, but I kind of found the idea of 2 middle-aged men kind of losing their minds and being confused about life really fascinating, and kind of not knowing what's happening, because it also felt a little bit therapeutic for me. Next, I watched Office Space from 1999, and I thought it was okay. Like I can see why it was definitely influential and unique for the time, but I didn't really find it too fascinating for 2022. Next, I watched Hedgehog in the Fog, which is a Russian short movie that is really fucking unique, super short, very weird, but I understand it because I remember watching it when I was a kid, so I get it, but I understand why it would be very weird if you watched it and you were like, why does this look so bad? Next, I watched a short movie called The Neighbor's Window, which is also on YouTube. It's 20 minutes long, and the ending for this movie made me so upset. I didn't see it coming, and as a concept for the short movie, I thought it was very interesting, very Hitchcockian, I guess. Is that the right word? Very Hitchcock type-esque thing. Next, I watched Titane, which I also think is in my top 5 for the year. Body horror. I didn't think I would enjoy it until I watched Raw Junior, or just genuinely discovered Julia Ducournau. And she's incredible, and she makes me love this type of genre, so I think that is definitely a good sign of being incredible. And it also got a Palme d'Or. Did I say that right? I haven't a clue. Next, I watched Bodies, and I feel like this movie shouldn't have worked, but it did, and he used darkness and social commentary to its advantage, and it was a really good time in 90 minutes. So it's everything that you would want in a movie like this. And then I watched Alex Garland's Men, which I found extremely pretentious, and was like, oh, I know things and you don't know things, and I'm going to show you like this pretentious cinematography that you're probably not going to understand. Religion. Yeah, I don't know. Next, I watched Reprise, which is Joachim Trier. I never know if I'm saying his name right, but it's the same director of that. It's the same director that did The Worst Person in the World, and it is the first movie in the Oslo trilogy, which is probably my least favorite. Doesn't mean it's bad, but watching 2 people have like these hopes in life, right? And one of them actually goes to plan, and the other one doesn't go to plan. And following that journey, I'm out of focus for some reason. And following that journey of kind of like seeing somebody's life go to plan and somebody's falling apart, and kind of like the interactions that these 2 people have, I found it so beautiful. And the way Trier is able to capture just being a human is so unique, and he's somebody that I will admire and love, and he is probably my favorite director at the moment. He is, I don't know, he's just so fucking fantastic the way he makes movies, and I love movies that just don't focus on a set thing. It's just about humans living life, and kind of like finding the, like, I don't know, just finding I don't know, incredible, just so good. It's next, I watched a short, the lowest rated horror movie that I could find, called Axum, and guess what? It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Just very painful to watch, because I feel like they just used no microphone, like just the internal microphone in your camera, so if someone's back there talking, you're not going to hear them. Next, I watched Shame, which was also quite a depressing and eye-opening view into a sex addict's carefully cultivated private life falling apart after a sister arrives. Yeah, not much to say, just a great movie. Next, I watched Sex, Lies and Videotape, which is a sexually repressed woman's husband is having an affair with her sister. The arrival of a visitor with a rather unusual fetish changes everything. I love like cheating movies and trying to catch people, but this movie kind of throws in like a weird character, which gives it even more layers. Therefore, it was great. Then I watched a short, not short, it was 80 minutes. It was 5 Halloween stories put into one movie called Trick or Treat, and it was great. I love how all the movies kind of tie in, and it was just, can you tell we've just gotten to October, because the next few movies are all Halloween related, which is, the next one is A Nightmare on Elm Street, iconic, The Hand in the Bath, do I need to say more? Poltergeist, the last 20 minutes of this movie fucking blew me away. There was one character I didn't like, and I know I've mentioned this in my What I Watched in October video, but there's one character I didn't like. Boogie Nights, PTA, one of my favorite movies of his that I've seen. The Last Shot, though, I was not expecting. Okay, I was expecting it, but I was just like, okay, we haven't seen the thing all movie, and then at the very end of the movie you see it and you're like, oh, okay. Definitely a very depressing and exciting but also fun. Like, this movie has so many emotions, and it's really long, no pun intended, but great time. Then I watched a Norwegian POV horror movie called Troll Hunter, which I was extremely disappointed by. I've been looking forward to watching this movie for years, and I just I didn't really enjoy it. I feel like it looked really bad, and I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy it. Then I watched a short movie called Rocks That Bleed by Sammy Paul and Bertie Gilbert, which really brought me back to my 2016 self, and it's great to see that these two guys are doing great for themselves, and yeah. Then I watched Oslo, August 31st, another movie by Trier, and it follows one day in the life of Anders, a young recovering drug addict who takes a brief leave from his treatment center to interview for a job and catch up with old friends in Oslo. And that's exactly what this movie is, but he captures every interaction in such a unique way, and so good. So good. He's like my favorite director. So good. Then I watched The Night House, which was disappointing. I feel like this movie could have done so much more, and I was just let down by it. Then I watched Shiva Baby, which was one of the most anxiety-inducing movies ever. 77 minutes long. Watch it. I'm telling you right now, go watch this movie if you want to feel extremely anxious. If you like Uncut Gems and you want to feel anxious like that, watch that. Then I watched Let the Right One In for the first time. A very unique take into vampires that I didn't expect to like, but it was a Swedish movie, and the development of characters and just caring for this vampire and the kid in this movie, so good. Then I watched Stranger Than Fiction on my birthday, and I didn't really like it. I thought it was okay. Then I watched Frances Ha, and I also felt a bit about it. Like, I wanted to like it, but there was just something, maybe it was my mood, that I just wasn't very in love with this movie, I guess. Then I watched Terrifier, and I feel like Terrifier 1 is so much better than Terrifier 2 because there's 85 minutes of this terrifying clown going around killing people in extremely brutal ways, and this movie does not hold back on its brutality, and I love that, Then I watched John Mulaney's New in Town. I like John Mulaney, and this wasn't my favorite stand-up, but it was still funny. I think I found it on like YouTube or something like that. I don't know. Then I watched Thelma, another Trier movie. He went into the horror genre and he made a great horror movie. Oh, just using like religion and religious guilt and just the development of characters and everything. He is like such a good fucking director. Go watch it. That's all I'm going to say. Then I watched Fresh. Very weird like choice of shots continuously. Just kind of like things were like...
I don't know what you mean by I am very weird like choice of shots. Continue.
Okay, thank you, my watch. I feel like this movie just did things that it didn't need to do, but I like Daisy Edgar Jones, and the last like 10 minutes of this movie was really interesting. Then I watched a Freaky, which is Vince Vaughn swapping bodies with a young girl like in high school, and one of them is a serial killer and one of them is just trying to be a teenage girl, and it is really interesting. Then I watched a short movie called Hair Wolf, and I don't really remember. I think I spoke about it in a movie. I think it looked cool visually, and yeah, I don't actually remember. I'm sorry. I was going to be brutally honest. I'm not going to make things up. I'm being brutally honest. I don't properly remember. Then I watched Funny Pages, which is a coming-of-age story, which you know I love, about somebody who wants to become a cartoonist. And the choice of characters in this movie is incredible. Like, oh, it's such a super short movie, such an interesting coming-of-age tale from a new perspective that I've never really considered, like a comic book artist. And having him kind of take risks and meet really weird people, especially somebody that's in the industry and get taken advantage of. I thought it was very interesting. Really, really good movie. Then I watched La Haine, which is 24 hours in the lives of 3 young men in French suburbs the day after a violent riot. Very character driven, very driven by what's happening around the characters' lives. Really interesting, looks badass. There's some iconic shots in this movie and it's on YouTube, so you should definitely watch it. Then I watched Bros. It was okay. There's so many things in this movie that I found a little bit cringy, like the singing in the end, and just like, I don't know. It just didn't hit for me, I guess. I don't know. It was okay. Then I watched Pearl. I didn't think it was as good as X. I just thought it was very slow and I just kind of wanted more gore, I guess. I don't know. Then I watched A Black Phone, which I didn't expect to be good, but you know what? Ethan Hawke fucking kills it. And it was a really unique tale, but I feel like if they made this movie a little bit longer, kind of like, I don't know. It was good, but I just kind of wanted more. But I think that's a sign that, of a good movie. Then I watched Terrifier 2. And that is such a long movie. It's basically Terrifier 1, just doubled. So if you like Terrifier 1 and you want double of that, watch Terrifier 2. Then I watched Dogtooth, which is really fucking disturbing. I'll just read you the synopsis, and that's all I'm going to say, but it is very, very disturbing. So, a controlling, manipulative father locks his 3 adult offspring in the state of perpetual childhood by keeping them prisoner within the sprawling family compound. It's as disturbing as it sounds. Yeah. Then I watched Karsten Rundquist's Dirtbag. I made an entire video about this. Really motivational. It kind of reminded me why I do YouTube. And yeah. Then I watched Four Lions, a comedy movie that I've never heard of, but it was hilarious and it made me emotional at the end, which I think if a comedy movie can make you emotional and care about the characters and you're also having a really fun time with them, then that's a good sign. Then, speaking of another great comedy movie, I watched John Michael McDonagh's The Guard, and I watched this when I was younger and I didn't appreciate it, and now looking back on it, I love the Irish humour in this. I can relate to it so much. So fucking good. Then I watched Del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I expected all of the things to be directed by Del Toro. Probably a stupid thing to say, and they weren't all directed by Del Toro. So some of the movies were very interesting, some of the episodes, and some of them were a bit, I didn't mind. If I'd never seen them, I would be perfectly fine with that. Then I watched Barbarian. Oh, what a unique fucking horror movie. It takes like common tropes of horror movies and kind of just subverts your expectations really early. It's kind of like Psycho, but the kind of like storylines, I love the way all the storylines mix and match, and it's just very original and very unique. I just wish The Thing kind of was a little bit different. Then I watched Borat. What do I need to say about Borat? I've watched it like 4 times. It was incredible. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Next, I watched Speak No Evil, and I remember somebody telling me that it's not a great movie, but I watched it, and despite its low ratings, I had a really good time with it. The only things I didn't understand about this movie were kind of like the motivations behind some things, and if that was kind of like explored and expressed more, that's all I need. That's all I need. Next, I watched a French horror movie called Martyrs, and it was probably the most disgusting movie I've seen all year. And after I watched this movie, I was like, you know what? I'm done with like horror, disgusting stuff. I'm just done. So the movie pushed me over the edge, literally. Next, I watched Shithouse, which is literally somebody feeling really lonely in college and making friends. And I watched it on my own at home and when it was very late, and it was very comforting and it was exactly what I needed. And same with the next movie, which is Obvious Child. It was something that I wanted to watch and not really care about too much. And I wasn't really invested in the story, but I just kind of wanted a visual hug that night. And that's exactly what this movie did for me. You know, I wanted something like Lady Bird, and those 2 movies were kind of like Lady Bird. Yeah, you know, because that's like one of my favorite movies of all time as well. Then I watched a movie called Bergman Island, which kind of blurs the lines between reality and fiction, and it kind of talks about creativity in a really unique way, and I fucking loved it. Next, I watched The Diary of a Teenage Girl. A teen artist living in the 1970s San Francisco enters into an affair with her mother's boyfriend, and it's as messy as it sounds. Doesn't hold back. Really unique. I don't know how, I've never heard about this movie, but it was something else. Next, I watched The Office, which I'm watching every single night. I adore The Office. It is probably, I feel like it's getting a bit dark outside. Do I look like really like bright? I hope that's okay. Anyway, then I watched Captain Fantastic, which I found really interesting, and it kind of made me also reflect on the ideas that we just have in society that we don't really question. And it kind of takes a big family that lives in the woods and takes them out of it, and kind of like it's a fish out of water story that's genuinely like really good. Then I watched Taxi Driver for the first time. I know, I can't believe this is the first time I watched Taxi Driver. But what do you say about Taxi Driver that hasn't been said? It's fucking iconic. It's a classic. Hello, you're joining me from my phone because my camera, guess what? It's just not working. And I just wanted to wrap up this list because there's like 10 movies left, and I just thought I'll just do it on my phone. So the next movie I watched is called Ghost World, which is a coming of age movie. Another one. Believe it or not, I've watched so many of these all year, and this one was really interesting because the characters within this movie, you're not meant to really like. They're really irritating. They're just like grumpy teenagers, but you do end up caring for them and about their lives, and kind of like seeing them meet new people and the influence these people have on them is really fucking interesting. Then I watched Moonlight. Yes, it has taken me this long to watch Moonlight. I can't believe it as well. What do I need to say about Moonlight? Fucking incredible, made me so emotional, and after I watched this movie, I genuinely just like lay there for like 20 minutes just thinking. Then I watched a movie called Buffalo 66, and the synopsis reads, after being released from prison, Billy is set to visit his parents with his wife, whom he does not actually have. This provokes Billy to act out as he kidnaps a girl and forces her to act as his wife for the visit. A fucking strange movie. Yeah, it was strange, but I think that's what it was meant to do, and I think it did it successfully. Next, I watched Phantom Thread, and I love how slow-paced and how every scene, every shot in this movie just looked like a painting, and I feel like the attention to detail in this movie is so respectable, and I really liked it. Then I watched Eraserhead. I felt stupid watching this one, but I've made an entire video on it, so you can check it out if you want. But David Lynch is somebody I definitely want to explore more, and I feel like Eraserhead just kind of confused me, believe it or not. Then I watched the new Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which was, okay, I found it a bit boring and generic. It's not really for me, but yeah, it was fine. Next, I watched a movie called Columbus, which explores the idea of losing family, but also kind of like wanting to progress in life, but at the cost of losing family members or like distancing yourself from loved ones. And it explores it in a really original way that I didn't really connect with initially, but towards the end of the movie, I also got emotional and I also cried watching this movie. Then I watched a movie called Happening, which is a French movie that looks back on the experience of abortion when it was still illegal in France in the 1960s, which is an extremely graphic movie, but it's graphic for a great reason. It's shot super beautifully, and yeah, what else is there to say? Very unique, and I really liked it. Then I watched Moonstruck for the first time. Moonstruck is great. Can't believe I've never seen Moonstruck. And Nicolas Cage in this movie, such a fucking cool actor. Such a unique tale, such a simple watch, and I loved it. Then I watched Triangle of Sadness, which was a super long movie, but I had a great time with it, and the ending, I hate how open-ended it was. I just kind of wish it ended before the ending did, if that makes sense. Then I watched Chinatown, which made me extremely angry, but I think that's a sign of making a great movie. The ending made me so fucking angry, but the story is so great, the mystery so great, and I love a movie that starts off with a little concept and takes it this far and does it successfully. I respect it. Then I watched The Muppets Christmas Carol. One of my favorite Christmas movies ever, because the Muppets are amazing. And then I ended the year off with Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can't believe I have never seen this, and I'm so excited to watch the rest of the movies. And that's all I have to say for that. And that's everything that I have watched in 2022. I'm sorry that this video is ending on my phone, but I really wanted to record today, and my camera is just being really annoying. If I watch more movies this year, which I obviously will because there's like 20 days left or whatever, I'll make more videos about it, or I'll leave a comment below. What did you watch this year? What is the best movie that you watched this year? And what's a movie that I haven't mentioned that you need me to see? My watch list has over like 700 movies on it. So I will get around to things that I haven't seen this year. I know I have so many things to watch. It's kind of like overwhelming. Whenever you dive into the world of like trying to find new movies, you're like, oh shit, I haven't seen hundreds and thousands of things, and there's just not enough time. But I had a great year with movies. I feel like I found some of my favorite movies, some of my favorite directors, and it was just a fucking blast. And I wanted to say thank you if you've made it this far in the video, and I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video, or I'll see you next year technically, which is so weird to say. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.